Craftsmanship is a special skill which I won't be aware of the jewellery side of it, but you saw all those videos at the back. Cricket is also a bit of a craftsmanship. You know, the good thing and the bad thing is in jewellery, if you slightly dent it a bit more, you have the opportunity with the instruments and your skill to bring it back. But all those pictures, if I nicked one outside the off stump, I could not go and tell the umpire that I need to bat again. And he would say, just find a way back to the pavilion. You know, building teams, creating successful setups involves a whole lot of things. And for me, the first and the foremost thing is having the right people on your side. And I remember going to 1991 to Australia, and I was 17 and a half, 18-year-old kid. As I landed in Perth and I was sitting at the hotel lobby trying to get some fresh air, I was invited by one of the legends of the game to go out for dinner. And obviously when I saw him, he asked me that, do you want to have dinner with me? I said, yeah, of course. Even if I didn't want to, I still had to say yes, because I was just a 17-year-old kid and he was one of the champions of the game. And as I walked down the beautiful city and we entered a Chinese restaurant, and as we ordered food, obviously he ordered and I ate, because when you were young and making your first trip, you just let the big man take over. So as I was going through the lovely Chinese and we were talking about the trip to Australia, he suddenly jumped up and said that, I should not have been on this trip. Well, I got a shock. I said, my first trip, and I was looking forward to it, and here is one of the greats of the game taking me out for dinner, and the first thing he says, I should not have been on this trip. And so I asked him, why do you feel that way? He said, Australia is a hard place to play cricket. There's pace and bounce on these pitches. India does not do well in those days in 1991 away from home. Now, for any young player, the best place to make a debut was India. I did not utter a word after that. The dinner went on. I tried to finish as quickly as I could and tried to get out of the restaurant. When I first became captain of India, and in the year 2000, my first and foremost challenge was to pick the right bunch of boys. We were a team. Yes, we were just 15, not as big as the jewellery fraternity, where thousands or probably lakhs of people who are taking this industry forward. For us, it was about dealing with 15 players. But I realized that if I had to succeed, the other 14 had to be good. So when I picked someone, I just did not pick anyone on haste, because during my growing days, I saw a lot of big players, a lot of good players go down the drain because of lack of opportunity. I played first-class cricket, saw the likes of Arun Lal, Ajay Sharma, Ashok Malhotra, Raman Lamba, some of the prolific scorers in first-class cricket, hardly get games for India. So when I sat down to pick a young player, it was pretty clear to the selectors that, listen, if he has to be picked, he has to be picked over a string of good performances. But once you pick him, you must give him a fair opportunity to perform. Because for all of us here in life, the biggest fear for all of us is the fear of failure. We all want to be good. The good thing for a jewellery business or any other business is that you have so many people, so many opportunities. But for us, if we didn't play for India, we were playing Ranji Trophy. And on a Friday night, you're out in Mumbai playing India versus Pakistan, and 80,000 people watching. There is not a silent spot in the stadium. And if you don't perform, the next day you're in Ranji Trophy with 3 old men and a dog watching. So that's sort of a transition you make. So for us, the life was a lot more riskier. I had various kinds of people in the team. I had someone like Yuvraj Singh at the one end, and then I had Rahul Dravid at the other end. And I still can't forget the day as we landed at Nairobi for the Champions Trophy in 2001. Young, good-looking Yuvraj, 17 years old, and you don't expect a 17-year-old to sit in your room and read Bible. So, as I landed, first thing I did, I made sure I called that security guy. You know, he's a big, tough Kenyan, 6 feet 4 inch. His shoulders would be, or rather his arms would be as big as my shoulder. So I took him to a corner and said, listen mate, you need to keep an eye on this kid. He said, who's this kid? I said he's the youngest member of the team and he's a fantastic young player, but he loves life. So you have to keep an eye on him. So he says, what do I do? I said, just make sure that after 9:30 on the day before the game, he is in his room. And if he's not in his room, you please come and tell me, don't tell the manager. Because you and me will go and find him and bring him back, because I need him to perform the next morning. And on the other side, I had someone like Rahul Dravid who was so meticulous that he even planned his breakfast in the morning. If you would ask Rahul Dravid the day before the test, the jam we're leaving at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we meet at the breakfast table at 7:30, what's the plan for the breakfast? He will tell you that I'll first enter the breakfast table, I'll first have a bottle of juice, then I will go to the salads, and then I'll pick an omelette, and before I leave the room and get into the bus, I'll pick my apple. And he will invariably do that. And you had Yuvraj saying, when you know the bus leaves at 8 o'clock in the morning, you just walk past his room and knock his door to make sure he's awake and ready for the bus. But so as a leader, you had to deal with different personalities.